Bukaro, Arab, Divundu, Leonardville, Stampede. Thank you for coming to Okahao. We feel being blessed by your presence. Please forgive me if I have left out any one of you. It is all because of I'm very excited for this day and by your presence too. Mr. Junius Jacob, Chief Executive Officer of Okahao Town Council and the CEO for local authority and the other institutions, both public and private, represented here. I have recognized the presence of the CEO of Otapi, Ruakana, Oshikuku, Oshakati, Ongwediva, Opuo, Kahanya, Rundu, Katima, Sandi, Otavi. Thank you very much for coming to grace our event with your presence. Head and official of various institutions represented here, our esteemed exhibitors and the members of business community. I want to recognize our men and women in uniform, member of the public, member of the media, our entertainers, dearest educators and educants, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, on behalf of the community of Okahao Town and their constituency, Omsati region, Onganjera, the whole Onganjera community, and indeed on my own behalf, as well that of my governor, Tatekuru Omkwanirwa of Onganjera Traditional Authority, my host constituency councillor of Okahao, allow me to welcome you all to Okahao, the home of rich cultural heritage, Omsati region, and to the Kingdom of Onganjera. As a town and as a region, we feel very honored and privileged for having been singled out to host this national event of immense importance to our community. The Namibian nation and African Union at large. We can hardly find a word to express our gratitude to celebrate this special day with you all, esteemed stakeholders, fellow citizens, and fellow public servants of the great republic. Ladies and gentlemen, this day of commemoration of African Day of Decentralization, local governance, and local development hold immense importance to us as it highlights our commitment towards empowering local community, promoting democratic values, and fostering sustainable development across our country and Africa as a continent at large. This year, African Day Decentralization is being celebrated under the theme, the contribution of Africa's subnational and local governments in making of our African continent free trade area. Okahao together and the other 56 local authorities and the Omsati region and the other 13 regional councils as subnational organ of the government in joint effort with other stakeholders in all sectors of economy are indeed very key to making Africa a free trade area, as inspired by the theme under which we are commemorating this special day today. Your presence as a representative of our respective institutions at the commemoration of this day is therefore not only commendable, but it's also a testimony of the love that we have for our community that we serve. Let us keep up the good job where we are doing well, and at the same time embrace innovative ways to create a conducive environment, particularly for our business community, in effort to capacitate them towards making Africa a free trade continent through delivering of our respective mandate, objectives, and strategies enshrined in our Constitution of the Republic of Namibia, the law governing our institution, and the strategic plans guiding our operation. I have no doubt that my town and the region is on the right track on this. So are many other towns and regions. Fellow congregates, ladies and gentlemen, Okahawa town continued to grow day by day. Last year, this time, around we opened nexus in our town. Just last week, we opened Buko building material hardware, and within 2 to 3 months, we will again be opening Agra, Mega Build, and Choppies, to mention but just few of the upcoming retail shops. This is decentralization that is not only coming from the private sector side, but also from the neighboring African sisters country for the benefit of our people in terms of job creation, product choice, and the opportunity cost for these trading activities. As we look around, we have a number of exhibitors selling and offering their different products and services to give meaning to the free trade that is embodied in the decentralization concept. The Okahawa Town Council have not charged any individual a cent to come and exhibit here. It is also for free for them as we are speaking. Therefore, let us empower them by buying from them to help them grow their business and to change their livelihood. As I conclude, let us celebrate the African Day of Decentralization, local governance, and local development with pride and determination, but with transformation mind. We should not accept difference output or our input remain the same. Let us honor our history, our diversity, our resilience. Together, we can create an Africa where community flourish, where no one is left behind, and where our collective progress become an inspiration for the world. May this day ignite the spirit of unity and progress that will propel us towards prosperous future for Africa, the Africa that we all want for our future generation. And once again, welcome to Omsati and the Okahawa town in particular. And when we disperse from here, let us travel back safe to our destination. Your visit is highly applauded and appreciated. With all this conclusion, we as Omsati and we as Okahao, and we as Namibian, so we feel being loved by you, by Kate, and by taking, you have really shown your love for coming to our town, and welcome once more. Enjoy the hospitality of Okahao, and I thank you. We love you so much. Thank you.
Can we give Her Worship Yambula another round of applause? Thank you so much. Before we proceed, maybe just to announce a change on the program, that the item by the SACU Secretariat, that one we will not be having a presenter. Therefore, we will just continue with the presenters that are here. Having said that, may I invite Honorable Erginus Njala, the Governor of Msati Region, for a statement, and at the same time request a cultural group with the Ashi Congo that once the Honorable Governor has finished the statement, the floor will be yours for one item. Honorable Njala.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies, Mr. Kashindi, Honorable Minister Erastus Utoni, our Minister responsible for the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, Honorable Governors from different regions who are here present, Honorable Chairperson of Msati Regional Council, Honorable Shintama, and other regional chairpersons, Her Worship the Mayor of Okahao, Madam Cornelia Yambula, and other mayors present, Tatekuru Mpia, Mkwanirwa wetu Oshina chetu Shanganjera, our esteemed traditional leaders in the different levels, senior government officials, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. As per the theme, the contribution of Africa, subnational and local government in making of the African continent free trade area. On this African Decentralization Day, we celebrate the spirit of empowerment and progress as a nation across the continent embrace the principle of local governance. Through decentralization, we pave the way for inclusive development, a stronger community, and a brighter future for all. Let us continue to work together towards more self-reliant, resilient, and prosperous Africa. Decentralization holds a significant benefits by distributing power, decision-making, and the resources away from the central authorities. It is foster local empowerment, encourage community participation, and promote tailored solution to regional challenges. This approach often leads to more efficient governance, improve service delivery, and equitable development. Moreover, decentralization can enhance accountability, reduce bureaucracy, and encourage innovation, ultimately contributing to a more resilient and responsive system of governance. Being saying that, please feel welcome to Omsat region and free to enjoy the hospitality accorded to you. And please, once more, welcome to Omsat region, and I thank you.
May we give Honorable Njala another round of applause. May I again just invite Kwedashi Congo, if you are ready, please move forward for one item. O meme ningotate mutweterepo oshivano shimo ashike manga. Tamu yangaro pokatimano.
Omuharapo akuru yetu asumane kwa upae ndodo za oroka. Ongudu iliko mesho ongudu yangwe za achikongo. Okuzirira ko chiruru changwe za yachanika. Atuke mwetera po ochimbo chimwe. Tangisho tamke tupurake na nenyanyu.
Thank you, Gwedeashi Congo, for the performance. Can we give them again another round of applause? They were just appreciating the presence of the leaders and appreciating what the leaders are doing in bringing development to their communities. The message is very clear. Thank you so much. We'll proceed with the program. And the next two items are going to be presented by Ms. Dita Robiati, the Deputy Executive Director in the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, regarding the African Continental Free Trade and what governments are doing to realize that. Madam Robiati, the floor is yours. And this will be a very good item for the learners, because much of what will be said might be the latest or the contemporary matters or issues in education regarding the integration of the African continent when it comes to trade.
Co-directors of ceremony, thank you very much. And may you please allow me to stand by the protocol that has already been observed. Honorable Minister, Honorable Governors, Your Worship the Mayors, my name is Ndita, as was mentioned, and here I can safely say Ndelitungapo, Onditungapo, Yangipondoka Robiati. Let me, from the onset, I think, mention that it is quite a technical subject, and maybe let me also apologize. The reason why I feel uncomfortable is that I don't want to give my back to those behind me, but there's a saying in one of the languages that says, a flower has no back, so I'm hoping you may please forgive me, and I can just proceed facing the rest of the audience, if that's okay. Thank you. Honorable directors of ceremony, as I mentioned, my presentation is actually more of a presentation than a statement. And kindly allow me, I wish I could be available for questions and answers. And I think for the learners, I'll be happy to meet with you later if you'd want to have some questions regarding my presentation. From the onset, my presentation is divided into two parts. I want to spend a bit of time just giving you what the rationale is for the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And then the second part, I'll then look at the sub-theme of what are the subnational and local government institutional architecture doing to advance this AfCFTA, as we call it, and contribute to its advancement. And then finally, I'll then look at what each and every one of us can do in order to accelerate the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Let me start off by conveying the greetings of the Honorable Minister Lucia Ipumbu, our Minister of Industrialization and Trade, as well as the Executive Director, who was supposed to be here and delegated me to make this presentation. And I will also start off by just mentioning who we are as a Ministry of Industrialization and Trade. I think most of the times when companies give their presentations, they start off with their profile, and I think I'm going to go into that spirit. So the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade is the government agency that is responsible for the development and implementation of appropriate policies and legal frameworks to do the following four things. So our ministry is responsible primarily for following four things: to improve ease of doing business, to attract investment, to increase trade, develop and expand the country's industrial base. Having said this, I also know that all of these things happen in the context of sub-national and regional settings. So there is no business that takes place at a national level. A business is usually housed in a town, in a region. So you can see the very close mandate and work between what we do at the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade and the effect on the sub-national and regional agencies as well as institutions. Of course, these policies, strategies, and laws are carried out through several legal instruments, as I've mentioned to you. The Companies Act, Close Cooperation Act. I think most of us that do business have CCs and PTYs that is encased in that law. The Foreign Investment Act that is responsible for promoting and attracting investors. It was predominantly foreign, but we know that we're now trying to change it to include both local as well as international investors. Import-Export Control Act, Competition Act to safeguard competition and to ensure that consumers are not disadvantaged. We have Standards Institution to make sure that the products that we eat are fit for purpose and that you have a peace of mind when you are consuming anything, whether a product or a service. We have the Liquor Act, it's also under our ministry. And then we have a few acts such as the Trade and Occupational License Repeal Act. So I'm done with advertising what our ministry is, and I will proceed with the rest. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement and area, the rationale is really as follows. All of us that live in today's world know that Africa is predominantly classified as a developing country. And why are we a developing country? We're a developing country because there's still a lot of services and products that primarily we import and we don't manufacture ourselves. There are many reasons why this is the case, but that's a lesson for another day. If you also look at the size of our continent, it's fairly large. You know, the way we see the world, the globe, the world map, that's actually not a true depiction of the size of Africa. So just to give you some statistics, the continent, our continent, is 30.4 million square kilometers. It's a big number, 30.4 square million kilometers. Russia, do you think, how big do you think Russia would be? Russia is about 17 million, the United States is 9 million, China is 9 million, India is 3 million, Europe is 6 million, Brazil is 9 million. But Africa is 30 million. So we are vast, we are huge. And so when it comes to trading on the continent, we also know that we face a lot of challenges to trade amongst ourselves. The procedures that are involved in an average documentation to trade, we have an average of 20 different parts, 40 documents, 200 data elements. This is a lot just for me to get a product from country A to country B within the continent. We also have very high transport costs on the continent, and we also have a high freight cost on the continent. So why am I giving you all of this information? I'm giving you this information because the African Continental Free Trade Agreement tries to address some of these challenges that we are experiencing as a continent. Another reason is also that if you look at other continents, they trade amongst themselves a lot more than we do in Africa. The data points to the fact that the European Union trades about 70% intra-European trade. The Asian countries are about 2/3 intra-Asian trade. But unfortunately, Africa, we are less than 20% intra-Africa trade. Let me also tell you that Namibia, as small as we are in size, we are in Africa in the top 10 intra-African traders. So we are doing well, but we could always do a little bit better. So the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, right now, it is the largest free trade area in the world after the creation of the World Trade Organization. We have 55 countries on the continent and 1.3 billion people, and the combined GDP, the total economic value of all of this, at 3.4 trillion US dollars. The tools that we want to use for increasing trade is to reduce tariff and the elimination of duties. So maybe let me just explain to the learners what that means, is that usually when a product is imported from one country to the next, there's usually something called a tariff. And the tariff is an additional amount that you pay, and this amount usually goes either to the state coffers, which eventually ends up as revenue that funds school, hospitals, etc. But it increases the price of that product. So what we want to do is we want to eliminate these duties so that products within Africa are much cheaper, and that way they become a lot more competitive. So that's what we want to do, is to reduce the tariff that are paid amongst us. What we also want to do is we want to liberalize trading services. And here again, to the learners, very, very important about what trade in services are. So I can give you an example of this laptop that I have. So trading services looks at what are the services that went into producing this computer. And believe it or not, most of them are actually not tangible. It's actually services. And I think you would agree that the biggest component will probably be the intellectual property. Another one would be the research and development. Another one would be the technological transfers, the transport that it brings this computer here, and all of those other things that go into having this computer here with me. So trading services, really, really crucial. And the young people, that's actually a domain, especially in the creative industries as well as in the ICT related fields. So really, really happy that on the continent, we are also negotiating and liberalizing trading services. I'll also touch further on it. Ultimately, what we want to do with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is to create one African market. Right now, we have 55 markets. I had a nice diagram that I wanted to share with you, but that will be for another day. Again, if we have to look back at the historical context that helped to establish the AfCFTA, we go back to 1963. It's a very important year for Africa, 1963. I think those of you who were alive, it was you remember that that is the day that the Organization of African Unity was established. It came soon after most of our countries gained political independence from the colonial masters at that time. And then from 1963, we then had something called the Lagos Plan of Action for Economic Development that was set out in 1980. In 1991, we had the treaty establishing the African Economic Community. And then in 2018, we then had the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So you can see that our forefathers helped to establish the Africa that we want. And the reason why we even can commemorate the African Day of Decentralization is because of initiatives that they began already, that they started to conceive in 1963. And now it is on us to ensure that we take further the torch that they have passed to us. How do we then bring this to fruition? The objectives, I'm going to continue. It would also be to contribute to the movement of capital and natural persons and facilitate investments on the continent. Right now, I think most of us, when you think of an investor, you generally would think of somebody from China, from India, from Germany, but you rarely think of an investor as somebody from Africa. We want to change that narrative. We want to be able to have African investors. Namibians must be able to go and invest in Angola, must be able to invest in Gabon, and the other way around. Ultimately, we want to have greater regional integration. We also want to enhance competitiveness of the economies. We want to promote industrial development, and in here particularly want to see how we can enhance value chains. Another problem that we're trying to address, and an objective that we have, is to address the overlapping membership in different sub-regional trade agreements. Again, a little bit more complex, but just to give you an example, Namibia is a member of SADC and is a member of SACU, right? And now a member of the AfCFTA. And then you find a country, let me give you an example of Eswatini, and Eswatini is a member of SADC, SACU, and COMESA. So all of these trade agreements have different rules and procedures, and we want to make sure that we now align and make those that are uniform. The tools that we use, as I had mentioned, is to have the liberalization of tariffs and then establishment of services. What are the expectations? The expectations is that we are creating a bigger and integrated regional market for African products. We are improving conditions for forming regional value chains and integrating into global value chains. We are giving consumers access to cheaper imports from other African countries. I know usually when I mention this, some people get very worried and say, but what about all those countries? Are they going to flood our markets? And what will happen to the SMEs that we have? The good news is that the agreement does make provisions. They call them safeguards. That makes it, gives us the opportunity and tools to be able to track whether these imports are actually causing harm and damage to our own industries. And these we've really negotiated well as negotiators, and we've safeguarded that policy space. So not to worry too much about competition from the other markets. We also want to allow, again, as I had mentioned to you, technological transfer, investments, and continent-wide development of infrastructure. The status of the negotiations, I should tell you, we started in 2018 negotiating, and we have now almost about to conclude the negotiations. The agreement entered into force, but until all the instruments have been ratified, and we need 2/3, that's when the agreement will enter into force. I said 2/3 because Namibia has ratified, but not everybody has ratified. And so before that, the agreement doesn't fully enter into force. It gives us an opportunity to still finalize a lot of what we need to do and refine it. Trade in services, I think it's one of those things that usually policymakers don't look at as very competitive economic activities, but it's something that we need to look at. I think our region where we are today, very rich cultural heritage, and this is a trade in services. People would come here just for our cultural and heritage tourism that would come here for. The trade negotiations, so we have trade in goods, and then we have a protocol that we are negotiating on women and trade. And I bring this up, women and youth in trade. It's a very important protocol because we acknowledge that statistics say that in sub-Saharan Africa, 8 out of 10 people are youth. 8 out of 10 people are youth. That's a big number. And how does this agreement address the needs of the youth? And that's why we've negotiated the protocol on youth and women. We also know that the issue of poverty that we are trying to address is that it's generally youth, and it's predominantly women youth that are the ones that are most in need of the assistance of the state. Women also make a big bulk of the entrepreneurs on the continent. I think we can all attest to that. We all know that our mothers have educated us through university by selling whatever it is they had to do at those markets. We know that. All of us have many examples to attest to that. Maybe if I can now come back to Namibia. I've been at the African continental level. I come back to Namibia. Why is this agreement important for us as a country? It's important for us as a country because Namibia has a very high proportion of trade. We import a lot. Namibia imports a lot of goods, and basically we are very exposed to other countries' trading activities. Just to tell you, I think all of us, when we follow the news, we know that we have a trade deficit. And what does a trade deficit mean? A trade deficit means we are importing more than we are exporting. Okay? And what does that mean? It means that for us, sustainably, that is not good. We want to be able to try to change that setting whereby we can start exporting more and importing less. What do we import and what do we export? Okay? The sad thing about what we import is that we import consumables. Okay? If I just look at myself here where we are right now, this computer is imported. This mic is probably imported that we're talking about. The NBC cameras are all imported, all right? And what do we export? We export raw material that is beneficiated in other economies, thereby creating a lot of those jobs. And Namibia, of course, you know that all our initiatives as government, all of our initiatives as government is to grow and expand the economic base. And trade is one aspect that we can do that. We also know that we are dominated by capital and consumer goods, and a lot of intermediate and raw material. These are things that we produce. And again, at sub-regional level, we need to think about how do we change this setup. How ready are we to implement the African Continental Free Trade Agreement? I think we have covered a lot of work. We have signed and ratified, as I have mentioned. There is also a complexity to the process because Namibia is in a customs union with South Africa and Eswatini, Botswana, Lesotho, and us. We are 5 of us, and we negotiate together as per the SACU agreement. What are the next steps? The next steps is to have the technical verification of our offer and then to continue negotiating the outstanding issues that I'm not going to get too much into. I also want to let you know that last year in November, we launched the implementation strategy of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The implementation strategy was launched, and what we now are doing are in the process of rolling out the action plan of that strategy. In 2021, we consulted the regions very broadly. I think most of you were in touch, or my colleagues had interacted with you to get your input in this strategy. Now, how do we contribute to the, how does the theme speak to the AfCFTA? We know that this agreement is not self-executing. What does that mean? It means that just because we went, negotiated in Addis and in Accra, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden these things are now going to realize. We know that's not going to happen. What will make it happen? What will make it happen, number one, is that we need to mainstream the AfCFTA into national policies and strategies. And one of those policies and strategies that we need to mainstream it in is in our decentralization strategy. This is really, really crucial, and I'll explain to you why later. We need to create an environment in which businesses thrive. I think the mayor mentioned that in her speech. And these businesses have to be globally competitive, and we have to develop strategies to expand these markets. Private sector, very, very crucial to this engagement. Who trades? It's not government that trades, it's the private sector that trades. And they need to read and understand the agreement. We need to assist each other in identifying potential markets, develop business strategies, and then very, very important, how do we bring our business? It's through our trade fairs that we have, and then trade fairs that are also on the continent. I think the main reason why we are here today is really to say that all businesses and economic activities take place at a subnational and local level. There is no business that is not regulated at subnational level. A classic example is your fitness certificate. So you cannot do business if you are not at a subnational level. Therefore, the strategy that we have developed needs to be further adapted at the subnational and local level in order to give effect to it in the realities of that region and that locality. So you have a national one, but it doesn't really give too much effect to it. And we all know that subnational and local government levels determine the success and of well-conceived ideas. The governor, in his speech, talked about the advantages of decentralization. I think I'm preaching to the converted, but I just want to read an excerpt from the 1997 decentralization policy that our government tabled in Parliament before it was adopted. If you just may allow me to read. Decentralization therefore provides an opportunity for people to have access to relevant participative decision-making, extending democracy to people as a right based on national ideas and values. The only guarantor for democracy is people making their own political, cultural, social, and developmental decisions at their own level. And the only safeguard of sustainable development is when people participate in setting their own priorities, planning, implementing, monitoring them, and evaluating these themselves with the overall national interest. So I think the AfCFTA won't do too much if it's not brought down to the people in the various decentralized institutional infrastructure. Finally, what would we be expecting, and what are some of those hurdles that we would want to consider as local authorities, as subnational levels? The first one is really to recognize, to understand the economic reality on the ground. And what is the economic reality on the ground today? Besides some retailers, besides government services, we have micro and small medium enterprises, MSMEs, predominantly led by women and youth-owned businesses. We need to create awareness amongst this subcategory for them to understand what the prospects are and why the AfCFTA matters to them. But information is not enough. We need to initiate capacity building programs in areas such as the following. Food safety. So we all know that most of what the MSMEs cater to is food related. Food safety standards, we need to look at a barcode, because how will your product go to the next market? Packaging, labeling, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, technical barriers to trades. These are all things that we need to help to build capacity and capacity programs. Local government should create a conducive environment for SMEs, businesses to thrive through the creation and maintenance of SME parks and incubation centers, which are already existing. How can we further leverage on these? And then finally, I think regional expos. Regional councils should host regional expos for exhibition of local products to identify export-ready products within respective regions. And I think the ministry, we have a division that looks at trade fairs. We have the calendar, and it would be good that we can have further collaboration on how to identify those prospects for capacity building as well as export ready. I think having said this, I do not want to risk boring you too much, but ultimately the message is very clear. The AfCFTA cannot be implemented as it is without it being adapted and trickled down to the decentralized institutions of our country, because that's where the real impact is made, and that we are really looking forward to seeing how we can be of further assistance to the regional and local authorities in order for us to bring this AfCFTA to a fruition. Having said that, let me thank you so much for your very kind attendance, participation. And yes, during break, I'll be ready to take some questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robiati. Can we give her again another round of applause? O sipopi washa pa uhupi gadi vuru kuyamo no matumbro mahupi ushari ketashitara mano kutia otuna irongo ya Afrika yo taieta po ebiraviro lyo ipindi ya manguruka makatiko irongo ya Afrika. Ashike ebiraviro dyono ngeterieta po ashivulika likakale evi unene kuvi kwa kukumbaka tuna uyerere kutyoshike tashipopiwa. Ashike mbeno uyerere otaburu ya zepongene tumwarakali ya era na wakutia oshike tashipopiwa. Otashiti oirongo ya Afrika oyinime inji bi taturandifa nenge taturanda yaza ponje irongo ile yenene buli Afrika. Ashike ngota tutara kwa Europa otarandifa mokatiko irongo yao yoene tango manga inarandifa ponje yo irongo yao. Otatine ngeta tutara mo menene buli Afrika na tango tunamo omuvafano yelimo menji yeli pokatiko irongo ya roka ngahimo mumbuano Afrika tunamo omuvafano yelio pali tunamo ndio SADC tunamo ndio lyo custom union mu omo tuna unene erongifo shimaliwa ne teksa vetu kutia ngege uli mo Namibia ngeli ko South Africa ngetashi ya tax tushiji na wakutia kuno iho vuru kukara wa manguru wa moshahi otuna oshikefa shimwa ashike sho teksa mu nepangiro letu halimo nokosha ya taeta ne mano kutia kakerene kutirongo ya Afrika iha irandifa mukatika wene Namibia otakambavara shanyukoli makatiko irongo ilomlongo bitai kambavara kuninga oipindi no irongo ya Afrika ikwao ge pamwe tunengeshefa mu Angola, tunengeshefa mo Botswana, ningo mo Zambia, ningo mo South Africa. Ashike irongo iji otai kambavara ngo kushininga ashike oshiviu okuningo geshefa makatiko irongo nge openo kuningwa omarunduruko omenjo wa evapo opo ishikala oshipu. Otanja nema kuti ministry wo mbuno halongere mbu unasha no manduruko no sho ipindi otakwafere mo inima mbyono nge opena opo eyana ngeshefa yetu yavule okukufa ombiga mo ipindi ya manguruka. Ashike inatutira kuti ange tamo mu ipindi ya manguruka ngika pamwe ihatukavura kukala atuninge geshefa shanyo pena nga omirandu biri po kuyamene napo engeshefa vita vivuruvika kale pamwe varaminino apohi. Ashike twapumbwa iko kuninga omaveulo kuyanjo mawerere nokutura omaviraviro moilonga opo ike ondugenenge eipindi ya manguruka ivule okuyakomeho. Pohupi ondete kutya andivurunga anditi oshondaeta ponyono oponga atuhetwe tuze pona ndono shitia shimwe ashiki atuke shipopya konima yoshigongi. Let me proceed with the program and then invite the next speaker or presenter, Ms. Lahia Hipondoka, the Deputy Director in the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, responsible for Local Economic Development Agency, for the presentation. Ms. Hipondoka, the floor is yours. And in the meantime, the learners from Okahao JP, be ready for one item.
Thank you, Directors of Ceremonies. Allow me to stand on the protocol as it was established. My name is Lahia Hipondoka, as I was introduced, from the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, Deputy Director heading the Local Economic Development Agency. I particularly don't have a presentation, but rather prepared a statement. And let me greet you all to say a very good afternoon to you all. It's my privilege and honor to be here observing the special day of African Decentralization Day and to deliver a statement on the sub-theme 3, which is a winning game for the African Continental Free Trade Area, boosting the dialogue between SMEs and subnational and local governments. Allow me, Director of Ceremonies and distinguished guests, to make a few remarks from the perspective of the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, which is the custodian of subnational government sector. As we all know, decentralization and local governance in Namibia enables local communities to participate in the choices of priorities and allocate substantial resources for development. And there is a say that goes that people are the best architects of their development, meaning people know what is best for them or what are their needs and their priorities. To know what is best for our people, or what they need, or what their needs are, we need to engage them. We need to exchange with them. And we need to create a dialogue. Dialogue meaning we have to exchange. They talk to us, we talk to them. Hence, our government continue to advocate for participatory local and subnational governments through decentralization and various legal frameworks, as they were also mentioned by previous speakers. Of keynote is that on the onset, our government already made provision for decentralization in our constitution to encourage involvement of our communities. And then going forward again, we have the decentralization legal frameworks which advocate for participatory development, planning, and governance. And it's under these frameworks that government encourages dialogue between public, private, and civic sectors. All these three sectors need to come together for developmental purposes. Directors of proceedings. It's worth noting that public-private dialogues are suitable platforms for facilitating investment climate reforms in our localities by supporting champions for reforms, creating momentum and a better diagnosis of investment climate problems, and design policy reforms to address challenges and problems at local levels. And their main objective is to bring about transparency, good governance, and mutual trust, because when you converse, you exchange, you create that relationship where you trust each other, all the sectors they know, like where you have the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. And henceforth, then, we foster collaboration among local authorities, public and private sectors, representatives, and civil society organizations. Director of proceedings, I would like to bring it to the fore that during the PPD engagements that were conducted at local levels countrywide, evidence has showed us that in a few towns where PPDs are institutionalized, where they are happening continuously, the business environment had been improved to a certain extent, that it has been responsive to the private sector needs, and it was also noted with concern that public sector participants, some of them, they need to improve upon their information dissemination processes through timely and broad consultation with the general public and private sector and all other stakeholders. On the other hand, it was also noted that there is a reluctance from our business communities on seeking opportunities that are within their localities. Although many stakeholders may not be aware of such opportunities because of this lack of dialogues, there's just a general defiance of getting information at the doorstep. And henceforth, we have to encourage that all these three stakeholders, all these three sectors, they need to come together. You will only know of what are the opportunities that are in your locality, or what are the challenges facing the businesses in your locality if you sit together on the same table to deliberate on those issues. Director of proceedings, let me mention to say, at the dawn of the African Continental Free Trade Areas, as it was elaborated on by Ms. Rabiati, as a country, Namibia, we need to align and coordinate our efforts at all levels and promote a spirit of partnership with other stakeholders beyond the public service, for us to be able to leverage on the resources and capabilities of all Namibians to optimize economic growth and development. And this can only happen through robust dialogues, which at times can be very uncomfortable, but they are necessary. Public-private dialogues that we are advocating for, they are key and they are very instrumental in shaping and improving the business environment at local level and ultimately at a national level. For our country to be able to compete well with others in an integrated African economy or market, and then thereof to benefit from this integration, our local governments or subnational governments need to support and provide an enabling environment for our SMEs to grow and be competitive in the market. It's these SMEs that are at the local level that will grow into big corporations or big businesses that will be able to compete in an integrated African market. If we fail as Namibians to engage and prepare ourselves for the African Continental Free Trade Area, this could result in some negative consequences for our economy, which could include failure to industrialize. We may not be able to industrialize as others will come and set up shops in our country, and we don't have that competitive edge. Our industries may face a threat the infant industries may face a threat from incoming or other competing industries. And we may also lose jobs, and then there will be a reduction in public revenues. As an ongoing government effort to create the enabling environment for businesses, private sector growth, particularly at subnational local government institutions such as Ministry of Urban and Rural Development and Namibia Trade Forum, which is mandated with the carrying out public-private dialogues at a national level and local level. Those institutions are seized with the agenda of institutionalizing public-private dialogues both at national and local levels in an effort to create that enabling environment for our SMEs, which are the engines that are running our economies. And we cannot allow them to run dry. They need to be oiled. Director of Ceremonies, it's imperative also to note that with the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, as a country, Namibia will have no choice but to find her position and optimize the benefits by providing support mechanisms and build capacity for competency of our SMEs across the board. As I mentioned earlier, these engines need to be oiled to be able to run efficiently. As cars are running on engines, those engines are being oiled. It is the same way that we have also to support our SMEs for them to be able to compete competitively in the market and also to grow. For our subnational governments to be in a winning lane, it requires cooperation from all the sectors, unity of purpose, and collaboration with the private and civic sectors. And this we can only achieve, and it can only happen when we engage each other through meaningful dialogues and not tokenism dialogues, where we just go out and then we inform and we don't really engage meaningfully. Director of Proceedings, as I conclude, let me reiterate the fact that our subnational government has a critical role to play, which is to provide an enabling environment for our SMEs to grow and ultimately for overall economic growth, both at local level and national level. For our country to benefit fully from the African Continental Free Trade Area, there is a great need for subnational governments to prioritize capacity development of our SMEs to enable them to grow and be competitive, and also to penetrate the African and international markets. It's therefore critical for our subnational governments to start already to introduce and create awareness of the African Continental Free Trade Area at the local level, and also to facilitate the integration of local businesses into nationally and ultimately regional markets. And all this we can only achieve if we start engaging in robust and meaningful dialogues with a common purpose of growing our economy and capacitating our SME, particularly women, youth, to competitively participate in the integrated African markets to the benefit of economic development for Namibia. I thank you.
May we give Ms. Hipondoka another round of applause once again? Tumaraka ndio ete kucha liafafa na ike nalikwao ndino liapupiwa ku Miss Robiati o esimano lyokuyanja omawelele kana ngeshefa yetu unene opeta meko o nishino kukalo shinakuwa nifashitseni nge omoilando muno nengome regiona nenge muitoporwa yetu ekansera muitoporwa ne ekansera betu muilando kuyanju werere kana ngeshefa yetu unene mpa ashona opoya bule okuya komehos ndete atunera oshashi mukatike to muna ya mwemba ya muna omitonjo yokukala yafika opoye yaulike irandifo mwao tuya nanga kombiga ku ningini no kwinya ya setunali na tango ne mbere wana tango vilimo tenda jonokere tabia jo mawelele ya mawelele na kongwe yo mawelele na anju ndite kutole tu maraka talipopiwamo antako nguwelele nde welele na weyanju wo monjira o kahao JP, one item please. Hai aunjuka napewe makembo manene. Thank you, Okahawa JP, for the performance. We are continuing. The next item on our program will be the introduction of the keynote speaker. And for this one, I once again humbly invite Honorable Njala for that item. Honorable Njala.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremony. I'm interested to introduce our keynote speaker for the day, but let me introduce him in this fashion. We are here to celebrate the Decentralization Day, African Decentralization Day. And just looking to the setup of the guests that are here, talking about the three layers of the government. We have the central government, we have the regional government, and then the local government. To make sure that there is a cooperation and collaboration between the three layers of government, there is a ministry that was created responsible to coordinate the development of both urban and rural. A ministry that is a custodian of decentralization, the day we are celebrating today. And this ministry was given to an able man who actually tried by all means to make sure that we have water, electricity, ablution facilities, roads in our towns, housing, and many others. And therefore, I just, at this juncture, ask you respectively to stand and receive our Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Minister Erastus Utone. Honorable Minister, the floor is yours.
Please have your seat. Thank you very much. Honorable Governor of the Great Omsati Region, Honorable Elhinus Njala. Let me also now recognize Her Worship the Mayor of Okahawa Town Council, Worship Cornelia Iambula. I also want to recognize in our midst Honorable Andreas Sintama, Chairperson of Omsati Regional Council, and other chairpersons of regional councils present here. Honorable Governor, as I have recognized you, I also want to recognize your counterparts, governors from various regions present here this afternoon. I really wholeheartedly thank them for making time to come and join us here. Thank you very much, Honorable Governor and chairpersons from other regions. Mayors from various local authorities in Namibia and other councillors of local authorities and regional councillors present here, leaders representing political parties here, I also want to recognize you. Esteemed traditional and spiritual leaders present here, and more particularly, want to recognize Reverend Tilves Tanyanda, and I want to thank you for your well-informed statement. Thank you very much. Ms. Ndita Lobiati, the Deputy Executive Director in the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, Mr. Gervasius Kashindi, Chief Regional Officer of the Umsati region, and other regional officers present here this afternoon, Maidi Ngidinwa Daniel, and the staff members here, Lahia Pondoka, let me also recognize you. Esteemed guest speakers and invited guests, representatives and exhibitors from offices, ministries, and other public-private institutions, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all as stakeholders in the decentralization, local government, and development. Good afternoon, and thank you all for making time for us to gather here in Okahao to join our fellow AU member states in commemorating the African Day of Decentralization, local governance, and local development. I wish to commend the leadership of Umsati region and Okahao, our gracious host for this year, for the hospitality and the wonderful arrangements that they have made in hosting this event. Let us give them a round of applause. And more particularly, the Okahao town, I really see that you are working very hard, and I see life in your town. It means there's a unity of purpose in the leadership. Hence, you are always inviting many people to come to Okahao. Can we give Okahao a round of applause again? Your worship and your team, congratulations. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, this day has been set aside for Africa to pause and reflect on the progress that its member states have made and are making in upholding and propagating the values and principles of local governance and local development, and to take stock of the challenges experienced at national and continental level, as well as to examine how to best exploit untapped economic prospects locally, continentally, and internationally for shared benefits. And I want to pause a little bit, and as I said, I want to thank Reverend Tanyanda. What you said here, that the government of Republic of Namibia, because when we talk about decentralization, we are talking about decentralization starting nationally, continentally, and the world. But this one is more focusing on continental, national too. And the government of Republic of Namibia, as you stated, has vigorously managed to expand development to the rural areas and you have clearly explained that, in the past years, we did not have some of the services that's supposed to go to the people. But as we are talking, some of these services and development are being seen by us with our naked eyes. Thank you very much what you have said, Tate Tanyanda, Reverend Tanyanda. And this is what we are talking about, decentralization. This year's theme recognized that subnational governments, namely regional and local authority councils, the level of government that is close to the grassroots and the local business, are expected to play an active role in the implementation of the Continental Free Trade regime through, among others, information dissemination and implementing policies and strategies that seeks to build and expand the capacities of local business, women and the youth. In the same vein, it is recognized that in order for subnational governments to effectively play this important catalyst role, they need to be capacitated. This speaks to decentralization of functions and corresponding resources. So, young people, I see you here. Many of you might be at the level of grade 12, grade 11, grade 10, and so on. The information that we are sharing with you today, yes, maybe when we speak, you think, these people are just talking. I can tell you when you pass grade 12, moving to tertiary education, you really need to understand what we are talking about. It's time for you to listen. And when the teacher is asking you what is all about free trade area, you fail because you are not listening when you are here. This is what we want to tell you and prepare yourself. We are talking about, as the other speakers were talking here, for us to start innovating when it comes to trade. When we are going to trade, we should not only trade within Namibia. We want to trade across the borders of Namibia. We need to identify products and services that you think if I take them to a neighboring country, this product will be sold. We are appealing to some of our, skilled people. I see them manufacturing this machinery that are making bricks. Now it's for you to identify market in Angola, for example, in Botswana, in beyond SADC, that there is a need for people to make bricks. Now here you have got that skill, and these are the machines that you need to export and sell them there. Because when you look at your market here to buy your product, it might not be enough and you will not make good money. Therefore, innovate and explore and move out of Namibia. And this is what the government is talking about, free trade area. This is very, very important. Young people, sometimes I see you when you graduate from the university, from a given college, from a vocational school, you are still dependent more heavily on government. We are saying now when you pass your tertiary institution from NAST, UNAM, vocational school, but we are emphasizing more you to take up courses in vocational schools. so that you develop skills and come up with something. Now, when you have these skills, there will be no time for you to demand job from government. Do you understand? Yes, this dependency syndrome is too much on us. Let's innovate, let's initiate. When a teacher is talking about innovate, you don't know what he's talking about. And this is when you are invited to gathering like this, it's for you to pick up something. Yes, of course, you cannot pick up everything at once, but at least if something is exposed to you, you'll be able to understand what it's all about. Nowadays, it's a serious competition. And we are saying government to employ all the students in Namibia. Is that really possible? It's not possible. Therefore, we are saying take up courses in the vocational schools. Be a plumber, be whatever. Might be when you check in Angola, plumbers, there are shortage of plumbers. And it's you to provide those services there. Do you understand? Let's be serious. That black cloth when you graduate is the black cloth on your face is removed completely. It's for you to see a distance 100 kilometers away from you. But if you are just stagnant with that black cloth on your face, yet you have got a degree, and you are still dependent on government, I can tell you, you find yourself, you are already 50, and nothing is coming to you. And this is what we are telling about free trade area. Other children are coming to Namibia to trade because they see opportunities. And you start blaming them. Oh, now, these people from the other countries, they are taking up our job. They are selling here. They are coming with their products and they sell. Of course, we are not saying they should come and sell at our open market. No. This is what we want you to hear. And this is what we are preaching here today. Yes, we are saying the Ministry of Urban Rural Development, as you know, is the custodian of decentralization. And we are trying our level best to disseminate information to our community about decentralization. Decentralization also locally here. We are trying to say that regional council, local authorities, when you are given little amount of money that you can, please put up those services to the community. As Tate Tanyanda was just talking here. Distribute water to the rural areas. It's no longer the central government to come and do the work here. As I said, Okahao, we are seeing really live. And other towns, we are seeing live. It's simple because of that policy of decentralization being, coordinated by the Ministry of Urban Rural Development. Of course, it's a government policy. It's a government thing. But the Ministry of Urban Rural Development is entrusted to ensure that the activities of decentralization are rolling and people should start to feel it. That is what we are saying. As we commemorate this day, and given our desire to take full advantage of continental free trade, the government of Namibia in general, and the regional and local authority councils in particular, need to take deliberate actions and measures to create and nurture an enabling environment for local communities and businesses to successfully engage economic and development activities and contribute towards uplifting their welfare and livelihood. As such, let this day serve to energize us and our subnational governments to recommit ourselves to strengthen public-private dialogues with the local communities and businesses, and to address any barriers to investment and trade starting at local levels. Let's strengthen our business here first, locally. If you want to trade outside, strengthen your business here. Produce a quality product. Otherwise, if your product has got no quality, it will not attract other buyers from outside Namibia. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's very serious. The world today is focusing more on business, not on government dependency. Government in many countries, they don't employ many people. They only employ few people. But majority of the society, they are on to make business to sustain the economy of the country. That's what we are doing. But the culture here is more on government. Yes, government really need to create conducive environment for people to do business. When government is saying there's an opportunity there, please don't hesitate, run where the government is pointing that there's an opportunity. There is green hydrogen coming up. Now you want government to come and tell you, come. Now government has pronounced itself. It's for you now to run where the opportunity is. Do you understand? Yes, young people. I'm talking to young people. Those are when government is creating that conducive environment. It's for us now to act. This is what we are saying. Let's remove that black cloth from our faces. Otherwise, other children, they come and grab the opportunity in the green hydrogen. Yeah, because they've got skills. They studied from the vocation. I heard from many young people, no, I cannot go and study in the vocational school. No, I want to UNAM. Oh! Unonanye. Omuvite kongu maukano. Ito iko vocational tosoru hepongwe. Inda ukazale karanyana go and put in an overall. You understand? Yeah? Ngayo ndioro kupopya kucha. Ngeno ndalio mati shashpa ifo ndakoka. Ngashango ngeno simbonjolo ndalio mati na ndihokana. Oshiri ndandi mono kakazo na kanje keliko vocational keri mekaranyana. Okwa ndihokana poho. Oshiri Shashota keto mboro toke uboke no skill because that child has got that lady has got a skill. That man has a skill. Now you want to go to UNAM? Yes, it's true. UNAM is very important, NAST. But when you go to a vocational school, that's why government is trying its level best to expand the vocational training schools. For you to learn skills. Okatafuraha. Who can make this table or podium? Who? Maybe sometime you went to UNAM and then study what? Huh? Anything theoretical. Can you really manufacture this podium? No. But somebody from vocational school is the one to manufacture this. But now when you have these skills and you are able to manufacture, you'll be able now to export this product outside Namibia. And that is what Ndita was talking about. So the central government affirmed its commitment towards supporting developmental initiatives by and through regional and local authority council. One of the instruments that we are using to harness economic potentials of regions and local authority is our regional and local economic development, LAED, white paper of 2011, which are reviewing in order to ensure its continued relevance. Director of ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect our decentralization journey, we are mindful that our decentralized system still need nurturing and perfection before we can experience the full benefits thereof. This calls for the enhanced cooperation and unwavering commitment of all stakeholders, especially line ministries who have to decentralize functions and corresponding resource, as well as regional and local authorities, councillors, as the recipients, to recommit and do everything in their power to accelerate the pace of decentralization. I want to tell you now that majority of the ministries have started to decentralize some of the functions from their ministries. Ministry of Works have started to decentralize the maintenance of our infrastructures here in the region. No longer somebody from the the central government. Very soon, the government garage will also be decentralized. This is what we want to do. Now, when we have empowered the subnational government, now other people can now come straight to a given region and they start to do business. In their community, they now come to this region. But depends on your commitment. Depends on your commitment as a community. Esteemed stakeholders, I don't want to touch everything because many things were already touched by other speakers. Esteemed stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I wish to renew the government's continued commitment and support to subnational governments in terms of decentralization and their role in governance and development, including their role in creating a conducive environment for business and trade at home and continental level. I wish you all a happy African Day of decentralization, local governance, and local development. And I thank you very much.
May we continue to give Honorable Tony more hands. Thank you, Honorable Tony, for the keynote address. When you were asking Anaskora ngwe uvite kotu uvite monkwa umwetati, yes. That yes, shara kutia uerere o wahenjana, and they should be able to make a difference in their way of looking at their studies. Irongwa biatu ironge ni otarombura kutena tu ironge ni irongwa yokona kuiwa. Knowledge of the future, not of the present. Sotu kironge ni hono yo o mitiri omape wao indiro ku misrobiati. I believe omori kufako takutinge omaharasha ngunda fana vapo amburu kumonopo ngunda fana vi ekomeho nawa nahi ali aetap. Thank you once again, Honorable Tony, and with humble and respect, I would like to invite you once again, Honorable Tony, to officiate on this item of drawing the Regional Council that will host the 2024 ADD. Yes, Honorable. And we want also to see where is the basket.
The basket is there.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm asking. Yeah, you can that one. It's fine. You want to bring the the cordless, so no.
So the next hosting.
Yes, the next region.
Thank you very much once more again for the opportunity accorded to me. Now I'm asked now to go in, is it a basket or a glass? Yeah, because I cannot, yeah, all right. I don't know, now you are, okay, if you face here, then these people will not be able to see. But what about those one, Idi? Okay, I'm now going to put my hand in here and do like this and then pick one. So the one I'm going to pick out is the one, is that region that is going to host the, what is that, ADD? Yes. ADD, Africa? Day of Decentralization 2024. Okay, there I'm going. One, ay, unimo wapukuta man. Oh, andita na wana natang. 1, 2, 3. Then, bam. I think there's transparency here. Okay. I am gin. Qu'est-ce qu'on entend complaining? Joking, eh? Oh, yes. The next region to host is, who can maybe estimate, eh? Where? Which one? Omaheke? Ohangwena? Kavango West? Yeah? Ochozonjupa. The next region to host is Kavango West region. Congratulations to Kavango West Mayor. I think your estimation was correct. Congratulations. Are they here? Where are you, my dear leadership? Can you come here forward? Anyone from Kavango West? Maybe you are not delegated, but as long as you are here to show, representing your region. Yeah, Mayor also want to represent, because she was correctly. Kavango West, are you here? Yes, I know you are not delegated, maybe, but since you are here, yes. Oh, you are the regional officer?
No, I'm the mayor.
Oh, why should I? Why? Are you why, man? Sorry. Oh, Chief, how are you? Yeah. So, here now, I have the mayor and the CEO of Kavango West. That is now the mayor of Nkuru town from Kavango West region. So, now we are announcing this one in public that you be the host, the next host for the Decentralization 2024. Oh, who will be the patron? The mayor will be the patron, apparently. I can tell you, she's so active. She's so active. I really like that. Congratulations. Can we give them big hands? Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Tony, for a successful draw. And congratulations to Kavango West Region. I believe you were to take this one, eh? This is for Kavango West. Please, Kavango West. CEO Nkurenguru, this is yours. You should not only say it, but you can also make a draw there. What do you think? Yes. Thank you very much. May I invite Nilo Tapopi, Senior Secondary, for one item, please. Where are you seated? Nilo Tapopi? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Move forward.
akuru ni akundothika alelietu asimane kwa mulipa endondo dhayoroka sana nosho alongwa akweto muhara potunawa ongundu taimoni kama ndambo ona mbanduka onyothi okengula okuzira kuskola niro tapopi tatuke mwetera po idhano iliyali ochidhano chetu chotango ihemba ochiwambo nochidhano chetu chitiali onguru yonale ona igaruke onna mesho tala onna makutsito puikine tangisho tamke tupulake na nenyanyu
na tuyape nyomake na tango onjira na ira rongali. Yeah. Thank you so much, Nilo Tapopi, for the two items which were very, very brief. Thank you so much. We are moving towards the end of our program. But before that one, I think it will also just be proper before the vote of thanks is moved, we make the announcements that will be applicable to the next items. And also to give information regarding how we are going to save the audience. For lunch purpose, o matsifota kalaringa hino kucha, the higher table is the white tent plus the wings. Those of us who sit on the south and those of us who sit on the north, I know Mbaturiko Mbigajino will be served where we are after we have concluded the next items. For otate no mememba mwea, nge uli kombigajino hukuna anaskora huno, nge uli kombigajino kuna anaskora hukuna Nilo Tapopi huno, nyenanye otamu ya kulirwa ike mono muri, ashike Nilo Tapopi okahaupi esa nanangobe otamu ya kulirwa kombigajono natango ngumulinga ngono komwero mbu amanguno ko umbuanu on the south okwamu akulirwa ngono omanga o shanika na shirongo senior secondary na Ambrosius SP otamu ya kulirwa kombigajono oko uningi nino kombiga ngo makalo ntumba ngo shara kotamu ka kulirwa mbatuleni ne o twete kuta west o uningi no mbatu pine egate andishi nyatu pitimo satu mono makuletu imbatu liko exhibition ndete kutana se satu atu ya kulirwe ninga kombiga huno kuna o tate no memba eli takuti na kale munzire manga makurota kanjwa o ndiwete manga inandia jako na shipundi na tango kwetu etere mapanduro na mandi mpandura alingaho kivivimiko. I want to thank everybody for the patience. It has not been according to the time that we have in the program, but the patience have made us not to overlook some of the items that we were to put in place before we start, and that our event also went what we call incident free. I also have to appreciate that one. And having said that, I will now invite Honorable Andreas Shintama, the chairperson of Omsati Regional Council, for a vote of thanks, and thereafter we'll sing the AU and national anthems, which will be followed by the group photo. The group photo, I understand, where the technical colleagues for MICT is standing is where we will be moving. The high table will move this forward here. They will bring the banner, and then the camera woman or men, I'm not sure, who is to take the photos, will carry out that activity, and then it will be followed by the tour to the stands and exhibitions to see what we have in the tents and what we have on the market there for the local SMEs. Thank you so much. Honorable Shintama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gervasus Kashindi, who has been the director of the program. At the same time, is our chief regional officer, for according me this opportunity to state a vote of thanks. And I'm going to do as it follows. In the first place, I would like to thank our government that have made possible for this day to be celebrated in our region through the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. It's responsible or custodian for the decentralization. On the same note, I would like to thank Honorable Erastus Utoni, the Minister of Urban and Rural Development. Honorable Minister, a few days ago, you were here in the region. Yes, when you came to hand over the houses in Tandi Village Council. And then we've been going around, handing over houses in our towns, in our villages. But you don't look tired. Very good. Thank you so much. We really appreciate for your coming, for your effort, availing time to come and be with us. May we please give a big hands. On the same note, I would also like to thank our Honorable Eginus Enjala, the governor of our great region, Umsati. You are so not tired. You remember, Honorable? It was just Sunday when we finished with Governor's Cup. Here you are again, here. Yesterday we were together for the Indigenous International Day in Olufuko, Otapi. Today here you are again. Thank you very much, Honorable. Give hand, please. And I also would like to thank Her Worship, Councillor Cornelia Yambula, the Mayor of Okahao Town, for welcoming us in your town together with your leadership. Thank you very much. Big hands again. Honorable chairpersons from various regions, thank you very much, honorable members. Thank you so much. Big hands. Honorable governors, thank you very much for your availing time to be with us up to this time. Big hands, please. Yes, regional and local authority councillors, starting with the host councillor, Honorable Ronald Tashikulo Shamereki. It's not easy. You have been out of the region with the Parliamentarian Standing Committee. After you came in back into the region, started with the community meetings, and today again you are here with the rest of the regional and the local authority councillors. Big hands, please. Mr. Ngidinwa Daniel. Sometimes people are confusing. Why they start with Ngidinwa? Why not Daniel? No, his name is Ngidinwa Ya Daniela. So thank you very much, our ED, for have joined us as well, as you are responsible in terms of administration for the ministry. Thank you very much. Although you were not sitting here, but you were supposed to be part of the director of the program. But I can see you should have negotiated with Mene Onkunda here. Thank you very much, and Mr. Kashindi. Thank you so much. And then senior administrators from different government institutions, private institutions, where we talk about Memelahia Hipondoka, Deputy Director in the Ministry of Local Economic Development, the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Memendita Lobieta, Deputy Executive Director, Minister of Industrialization and Trade, and Nanangeshe Faye Tumbwa Shona, Nanene, Yakuliko Inimayao, o Tatekuru, Onkwanirwa Gostunda Shetu Shanganjera, Pamwe Nererwa Alishe, Osho ale lietu yopam surua karo mendede da oroka na sotpem pandura unene msita wetu tatekuru Tilvis Tanyanda nguwa popsa ngene epangero lietu talieta omaya kurokoshiwana shosho shimwe shetukalifeni nena mano otpeku pandura unene tatekuru. With that, I also want to thank the cultural groups that were entertaining us here from different schools, including our own learners. Thank you very much, and teachers, of course. Mr. Gervasus Kashindi, the Chief Regional Officer, who has been the director of the program, thank you so much. Invited guests, when you go back to your destination, drive safe, but let's make sure that that little thing, we leave it in Okahao town in Omsati region. Thank you very much.
Yes, as already announced, is just to invite the House for the AU and the national anthems.